What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of LaLiga Insiders. Gemma Soler, Rodrigo, Christina Alexander to break it down for you. And we have a lot to break down just because we saw a lot of goals this weekend. Barcelona is still keeping in track. Madrid as well. And did they send a message for Barcelona? And as I said, they are one step closer to the title. And what's new with our insiders? Of course, the latest and greatest information. And we can't leave aside a little bit of extra time. Why are we seeing these two in a picture? Not just for happy memories, but maybe looking forward to a happy future for Barcelona. I won't get ahead of myself. Let's start with what we saw from Real Madrid, that 6-0 victory against Valladolid. No problems. And of course, the star of the show was Karim Benzema. Rodrigo, why are we now seeing this very confident and goal-happy version of Madrid?
Hi, Chris. Well, mostly because I think that some key players for Real Madrid rested in the FIFA break. I think that is, for me, the most important reading after that Real Madrid win against Valladolid, proving that if they had rested a little bit more this season, they would have been much better. Like, for example, Benzema. If you see how Benzema performed against Valladolid, and I'm not only talking about a hat-trick or that record hat-trick in less than 7 minutes that he achieved. You could see a much more different player than the rest of this second half of the season, like combining a little bit better with his teammates and getting in the box with more danger even than in the first half of the season prior the Qatar World Cup. That proves that Benzema needed a replacement, and that proves that maybe Vinicius and Rodrigo, when they have a little bit more confidence, they are much better players. And I think that in that game, in between Real Madrid and Valladolid, you could see the difference in between two teams. That, for example, Real Madrid is with the arrow up, and you see how Valladolid showed the worst image in this season so far, and that provoked this morning in Spain that his coach Pacheta has been sacked, and now Valladolid is waiting for a new coach. So that is why, I think it's a mix of sensations in a lovely Sunday for Real Madrid that proves that they are ready enough to face Barcelona in that Copa del Rey semifinals.
Yeah, bitter for Valladolid. Very sweet for Real Madrid. And Gemma, I want to ask you with what Rodri just mentioned, the fact that resting his players has been key for Carlo Ancelotti, which is something that he's mentioned in the season, right? With this calendar that is just so heavy for them. So now that they have Copa del Rey coming up and that they have the Champions League, but not as often as we would see them maybe in the group stage, just to use as an example, what is Real Madrid capable of if Carlo Ancelotti is able to rest his players more often, thinking about that catch-up game they have to play in La Liga?
Well, they are probably able to do more to compete better. That we have seen that, especially with a lack of physicality on their players, with injuries and some key moments where they were not at 100%. And we can talk, of course, about Karim Benzema. These 2 weeks rest has been important for them. And not only this, before a capital game like El Clasico, being able to trash your rival 6-0 gives you enough time as well to rest some key players. He was able to have some of them in the bench and some other to sit them after in the second half. And this is always important. Also, it gives them a positive vibe, especially for Karim Benzema with a hat-trick, a lot of self-confidence that maybe he was needing. So I think this in the short term, talking about El Clasico, it can be very important. And talking about the Champions League, the same. Let's see how Real Madrid decides to think about La Liga, because the distance with Barcelona is big. So maybe at some point, Carlo Ancelotti, I think there has been also a problem of not having enough replacements, for example, in the forward line for Karim Benzema, and he hasn't, Carleto, been able to rest some of these players, but you never know with Real Madrid. La Liga, I think it's a pipe dream. The Copa del Rey, we will see. I think they have many chances to come back after that 1-0 win from Barcelona. And with the Champions League, it's Real Madrid. So never say they are done until it's minute 98 or something like this.
Yeah, as long as the maths still say that they are capable of winning a title, they will still keep that pipe dream alive, but it's still that pipe dream for sure. But thinking about then what is a little bit more possible, or a lot more possible when we talk about Real Madrid, Rodri, coming up for them, that, of course, second leg in the semifinal, they're only down 1-0 against Barcelona. With this 6-0 victory, what message did they send the Blaugrana squad thinking about this game that's around the corner?
The message for Real Madrid locker room is clear. After the game against Valladolid, Ancelotti took the word and he said, "We are able to do this. Believe, please, believe, because you are more than fit enough to face Barca and to make that comeback," which is something that in Real Madrid imaginary, it is something that happened a lot of times before, and why not can happen this week on that Wednesday night game against Barcelona. They know that they can do it. They know because most of these players had won before at Camp Nou against Barcelona, and they gotta be focused on Copa del Rey and Champions League, because those are the two only tournaments they are or they can win, because La Liga, I mean, as we reported last weeks, is something that they just forgot about it after the La Liga Clasico results. So that is why they gotta believe, they gotta be themselves, they gotta be back in shape, because this is one thing that got on Ancelotti's nerves before in this past month and a half, because he didn't see the players or the key players in shape. So that is why now that they raised it a little bit, not only the physicality but also their minds, they think that they can do it. Against the Barcelona, the pressure now is on them. And I think that Barca cope with that pressure very good in La Liga. But let's see what happens in that game on Wednesday, because this is going to be a brave one. And this is the time for the Braves. Why not? And Real Madrid has proven in its history and indeed in this year that they can do this kind of comebacks. And this is the only way, or maybe the shortest path to get a title, even Copa del Rey or Champions League next week. So that is why they need to be at their best, and they need to be just like we saw them against Valladolid.
Yeah, and they love that pressure, right? They're very comfortable with it. More against a corner they are, the happier they play. It's weird, and I'm kind of jealous of that, but we're journalists. We work well under pressure, so we also have our unique set of skills. But so does Barcelona after that 4-0 victory that we saw this weekend. They received that message from Real Madrid and say, yeah, let's see each other again midway through the week. And let's see if after March, now it can be the Clasico month for Real Madrid, but that still has to be seen, of course, coming around the corner. Gemma, but from what you saw from Barcelona, from Xavi Hernandez's side, what do you think, or what do you expect from them coming into this Madrid game?
I expect a second leg that it's so equal, so tight, so open. Anything can happen. It's true that it was important for Barcelona because they were playing. It's true they were playing against Elche, which is the bottom team, and they are absolutely in a difficult, struggling situation. But sometimes this kind of rival with 5 in the back and being very defensive, Barcelona struggles with them. So it was important, I think, in a similar way than Real Madrid, that they were able to open that game, that Lewandowski was able to score twice and assist once, because he had been in some kind of crisis, 3 match days without being able to score. And more important than this, also that the rest of the forwards, I'm talking about Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati, that have been struggling lately, they were able to score. And this gave the team a lot of self-confidence, because Barcelona will be facing this second leg with key players injured. No Frenkie de Jong, no Pedri, no Dembélé, no Christensen. So this is something complicated, especially in the midfield, but Xavi was able to rest Sergio Busquets, also Gavi in the second half. So I think the mentality, it's going to be high. They know they are only 90 minutes away to play the first final for a lot of these players of a main trophy, apart from the Supercopa. It will be the first Copa del Rey final for a lot of these new generation players, or all rock stars, but in the first year, like Lewandowski. So the team is extremely focused. They know how to face and how to play Real Madrid without maybe being suffering so much in the back as we experienced. And they have that big confidence that they have been able to beat Real Madrid twice in a month. It's also true that usually Barcelona plays better when they are away from the Camp Nou. This will be in front of a home crowd, but this should be something that it has to be better for them, even though the history tells us the other way around. It's El Clasico. Anything can happen. Anything is possible, Chris, I think.
Yeah, that's why it's such a great name. It's a classic, right? It's the classic that we don't know what's going to happen. It's the classic that they can both be their best, or that one is much better than the other, and the one that isn't super great ends up winning and does it easily. We just don't know what's going to happen, and that's why we love it, and that's why we love talking about it too. Rodri, with what Gemma just said, she expects them to kind of be a little bit close, a very tight game. Do you see things happening the same with what you've seen from Xavi's side specifically?
I think it's going to be a really similar game to the one that we saw in La Liga. Very tight, very equal. But, I smell, like a revenge feeling in Real Madrid locker room. I was talking and texting some Real Madrid players this morning, and they were like, okay, we know what we failed before against Barcelona, and that is why we know how to improve in some parts of the game against Barcelona. They don't really have so many days to rest, so they know perfectly what to do. They know perfectly how to, okay, in this part of the game we gotta be at the 100%, maybe in this part of this game we gotta be at the 90% of our physicality. So that is why, I see them like more mature in terms that they have gain that experience that maybe they had before, but they didn't prove to have. Which is something that maybe could apply to the quality of Real Madrid players as well. And this is something that could apply to Ancelotti as well, because we remember that this is not only about players, this is not only about the clubs, this is about the coaches. And now at these Clasico games, I think Xavi has won much more games than Ancelotti, and Ancelotti has to prove a lot, because later on the Insiders section, we're going to talk about Ancelotti's future. And I'm really sure that what happens on Wednesday night is going to be key for Ancelotti's future, because we know that Ancelotti still has a contract with Real Madrid till next year, but depending on what happens on Wednesday night, let's see what Real Madrid think about the situation of the Italian coach, because if they win, maybe Ancelotti has an extra life. But if he fails again against Barcelona and against Xavi, maybe Ancelotti will be fired by the end of this season.
Yeah, there's a lot going into this game. There's a lot riding on this game, especially for Real Madrid, and we'll have to see what it means too for Barcelona. It's a classic, so you can't miss it. El Clásico again, Copa del Rey, the semifinal, the second leg. Barcelona with the advantage of 1-0 this Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Sign up now. You won't want to miss not even a second of it, especially if you guys want to come back and talk to us or hear us talk about that result, of course. So that takes us to some insider information. And we have to still stick with what is going to happen in the next few days with El Clásico. Gemma, I'll start with you. Maybe there's a little tension around Barcelona?
Oh yeah, between both clubs, and that's something different, because in the previous years there was this sportsmanship, even though we're talking about the most bitter rivals in the Spanish football, but both presidents, with Laporta and before and Florentino Perez, they have had this kind of sportsmanship, because they were joining forces with Super League and some other fights against La Liga and some other stories. Now has changed with the fact that Real Madrid decided to join that accusations with the rest of La Liga teams against Barcelona for the Negreira case. As it happened in the Clásico, La Liga Clásico, there won't be this friendly lunch before this El Clásico. It's something traditional before one of these big games with both board of members, both presidents. Well, there won't be having any kind of lunch, and it's almost for sure that once again Florentino Perez won't be going to the official part of the Camp Nou. We still don't have the official confirmation yet, but as it happened in the La Liga Clasico, he decided not to travel because there was no lunch, so there was no point. And it's some like Laporta and Florentino Perez are avoiding that picture of them two together. I think it's something that they don't want to show to their respective members, and there's not a lot of friendly atmosphere. So we are talking about the biggest rivalry on Spanish football, and not only in the pitch, also off the pitch. So we will be expecting some tension as well in the fan base, something similar as we saw in La Liga El Clasico. And this tension that always surrounds El Clasico this time is even bigger because it's a second leg and it's just the way to get to a final.
Yeah, absolutely. No politically friendly, no politically correct gestures here. They're just going to avoid it completely, which is probably, I don't know what's best. I don't know what I'm talking about. Rodri, I'll go to you. Let's talk about what you mentioned a little bit and how important this match is, especially for Carlo Ancelotti's future. Is Real Madrid thinking already of a plan B if it doesn't work out with him?
Sure, 100%, because, I mean, if you see what we reported back at the beginning of February, you know, our partners from Brazil said that Brazilian Confederation was in love with Ancelotti and they wanted him to be the next Brazil's national team coach. This is something that we've been working on in the past weeks, and as I mentioned before, the intention of Ancelotti is to stay at Real Madrid, always, you know, thinking about Real Madrid, wanting him to be Real Madrid coach next season. But at the end of the day, he still has a contract with Real Madrid till June 2024. I mean, this season and another one more. But Real Madrid are filtering some names around, you know, from the club to say, okay, if Ancelotti doesn't continue, we have Pochettino, we have Xabi Alonso, Raúl, who is the coach of Castilla, Real Madrid reserve team. So that is why, you know, when the club doesn't try to say, okay, no, we're going to get Ancelotti for the next season, is the same club the one that is saying that maybe there is some doubts on Ancelotti's future. Those 2 weeks ahead are going to be key for Ancelotti. First of all, that first stop in Barcelona in the Clasico, because Real Madrid, as we reported 1 month ago, were doubting of Ancelotti's tactics right after the first defeat at the Spanish Super Cup final in Saudi Arabia. They were like, okay, Ancelotti doesn't have a plan B, and Ancelotti is always putting as starters people like Toni Kroos or even Luka Modric, even though that they are not at their best. And then after what happened in the Clasico, that plan B doubts emerged once again, saying that maybe people like Ceballos deserve more minutes, as the same Carlo Ancelotti has mentioned a lot of times in the press conferences in this year and maybe last season. So at the end of the day, yeah, he's in doubt. He wants to stay at Real Madrid. He said in an interview that we had with him before the Madrid derby against Atletico Madrid that he wanted to stay here because he's in love with Madrid, because he's in love with the way the city is and the way that the club is treating him. But let's see what happens at the end of the season, because if he wins Barcelona and he classifies to the Copa del Rey final, this is going to be good for him. And if he got Chelsea out of the Champions League in that quarterfinals, that will be really positive for Ancelotti to say, okay, with this team, I managed to achieve this thing.
Yeah, although it's kind of hard to imagine a Real Madrid future without Carlo Ancelotti, at least thinking about next season, but we'll have to see what transpires now in the next few months. Gemma, I'll take it back with you, because speaking of the next few months, the rumors around this are crazier and crazier by the minute. The question is, Lionel Messi to Barcelona, truth or distraction?
I think it's both, Cristina. And yes, we're going to be having an exciting next few months with yet another soap opera. It's true that there is some part of true in that, and it's not a rumor. Even the Barcelona's vice president Rafael Yuste confirmed that they are interested, they are talking, and there are contacts in trying to bring Messi back. But it's true as well that they have an interest of this being the main topic related to Barcelona, because there are so many other outside from sport news that are not good for Barcelona. They prefer that people talk about that, and the fan base are excited about this possible comeback. So it's a rumor that they decided to put a little bit more to the fire. So we talk about this and not so much about Negreira. We will be talking about that too a little bit later on. So what our sources were able to confirm is that they are working on this operation that is extremely complicated, that Messi's surrounding, they ask for a lot of facts, because they don't want to be disappointed as in the last negotiations, when Barcelona were really working in something that at some point La Liga said that it was not possible because of the financial fair play. So they really want proofs that this is possible. They also want an offer that hasn't been able to happen. And meanwhile, Barcelona are working on being able to work in this offer. As our colleague Gerard Romero in Gigantes confirmed earlier today, they are working with the sponsors to have money, important sponsors that would like to see Messi back at Barcelona, and some merchandising and stuff surrounding that. It's also true that they, as we talk here in Insiders, they could take another lever. Is actually a repalanca, a real lever, because some of the parts of Barca Studios were approved to members, and this hasn't been executed yet. So they could take some money from that, and they could sell players with a market outside La Liga in Europe. So they think they could be able to have the money. The thing is that they need to confirm to La Liga that the financial fair play is fair enough for Barcelona. So the question you asked me, it's true. They are working on that. It's extremely difficult, and it's also convenient for Barcelona, this rumor now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's convenient for the fans, too, to kind of, like you said, get a little bit distracted. But Barcelona isn't safe because, Jim, I know we'll be talking about the Negreira case here in just a couple of minutes. But, Rodri, I'll take it to you, because what's going on with Dani Ceballos, who's kind of taking a look at if he's staying in Real Madrid or not? What's going on?
First of all, Chris, Dani Ceballos doesn't really have a renewal offer on the table. First of all, this is the most important thing on Ceballos' future. He ends contract with Real Madrid by the end of the season, so now he's free to negotiate with whoever club comes to say, okay, we want you for the next season. But the thing is that despite the fact that he doesn't have a renewal offer on the table from Real Madrid, he still wants to wait for Real Madrid to see if finally Real Madrid, depending on what happens to Real Madrid and Bellingham's, or regarding to Toni Kroos and Luka Modric's future, he wants to wait a little bit, because he understands that maybe if Ancelotti leaves Real Madrid, he can have the chance, first of all, to renew, and secondly, to prove that he's more than capable for Real Madrid, and to get more minutes than the ones that he got in the past seasons. But sadly, it looks like Real Madrid doesn't really matter if it's Jude Bellingham or maybe Gabri Vega, as we reported that Madrid are monitoring now this moment. Looks like maybe that renewal offer won't arrive. Let's see what happens in the next month. But if finally that doesn't happen, I mean, Real Madrid wants to renew Dani Ceballos, he will have a lot of clubs on the table interested on him. And one of the biggest clubs that is really putting that high interested on getting Dani Ceballos for the next season is the club that he was born in. And I mean Betis. We remember that when he was born and raised in the world of football, he was in Betis Academy, and when he got his debut on La Liga, all the clubs were like, my God, where does this guy come from? He came from Betis, and he made his debut in professional football in Betis, and now Betis are negotiating hard to get him for the next season. The thing is that one key fact for Betis to get Dani Ceballos for the next season will be Betis to qualify for next edition of Champions League. If not, I think that Betis are gonna struggle a lot to get Dani Ceballos, but if finally they get it, we remember that Betis now are fighting against Real Sociedad to get that fourth place of the table, they will be a little bit, well positioned to get Dani Ceballos. Let's see what happens, but if it's not Betis, Dani Ceballos won't have any problem to get a great club next season because he will have a lot of interest.
I agree. He's such a talented player, and I'm sure any team, Real Betis, of course, in first place or trying to make him the priority, of course, thinking about next season. I don't know. I'm thinking about Ceballos with Betis, and it seems really, really interesting and kind of a great fit for them. But we don't know if that's going to happen yet, of course, as you told us, Rodri. Gemma, I'll take it back to you. Sorry, Barcelona fans. It's time to talk about it. What's the newest with the Negreira case?
Well, two new episodes. The newest one is surrounding La Liga's president Javier Tebas, and that the fact that Barcelona has just released a statement where they are asking Tebas that he should resign as La Liga president. This is because La Liga and Javier Tebas, regarding the Negreira case, they sent some documents that they explain that accusing the previous board of members, Bartomeu, Sandro Rosell, and Gomez Ponti, and this has supposed to be fake news. This is some news from La Vanguardia, so they have just released a statement, a very harsh one against Javier Tebas, and they asked him to resign from his position. And yet another episode is not La Liga talking about UEFA. For the first time, Alexander Seferin, the president, talked about this Negreira case, and he has said that it's extremely serious, that they are still investigating, and that this case is too old for La Liga to act, but not for the UEFA, so we will be seeing new episodes. And talking about what Barcelona says about this kind of accusations, we already explained the position regarding Javier Tebas and La Liga. They are about UEFA for sure that that's what Rafa Yuste, the vice president, said, that they are sure that they won't be excluded from European competitions next season, because they are true that their position is the right one and it's just fake news, everything surrounding this Negreira case. And they are still working on that official press conference of Joan Laporta talking about this Negreira case. I know I look like an old record, almost every insider saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Well, it's going to happen. We still don't know the day, but it will be happening soon in April. They are still working on that. Is something complex because there are a lot of documents and they have to work it with the legal advisors of Barcelona. But I think in a couple of weeks we will be able to eventually listen to the official explanations by Barcelona. Some of them have already been put in paper, because they will be sending to all the Barcelona members a letter from Joan Laporta where he will be explaining details and saying that this is all fake news and that nothing bad will be happening with Barcelona.
Well, when that happens, we know, Gemma, you'll be right here to tell us all about it. And yeah, you're calling them episodes because it does seem like a really long season for them, where you're kind of like, okay, where is this going next? But you're going to be here to tell us the latest, not the greatest episode, of course, that Barcelona is living in this moment. Rodri, I'll go with you so you can tell us the latest with Andrea Berta.
Andrea Berta, for all the subscribers that doesn't really know who Andrea Berta is, we remember that he's Atletico de Madrid sporting director, and he's one of the best architects in the world of football, trying to help Diego Pablo Simeone to make Atletico de Madrid even better from 2017, which is the year that he landed at Atletico de Madrid sporting direction. From that year, he has been growing up a lot alongside with Diego Simeone to try to make this squad, this first Atletico de Madrid squad, much better. And he was the one to get, for example, people like Antoine Griezmann or Thomas Lemar, and getting, for example, Joao Felix. I mean, he's one of the best sporting directors now in Europe. And the thing is that great job that he's making at Atletico de Madrid is something that a lot of big European clubs have paid attention to. And that is why, for example, Juventus from Serie A and some Premier League clubs were really interested in getting him for the next season. The thing is that finally, after thinking about that, well, to be honest, he didn't have a lot of to think. He's really happy at Atletico Madrid. He's really happy at the city of Madrid. He's happy here, the way that we, the Spaniards, live, and he's really comfortable despite the fact of being Italian, because Spain and Italy are really similar countries, so that is why he's really comfortable here in Madrid, and that is why he said that no to those big clubs, including Juventus de Turin, for the next season. He's happy, he's confident, he has the support from Miguel Ángel Gilmarín, which is Atletico de Madrid CEO, and he has the big support, even stronger, from Enrique Cerezo, who is the Atletico Madrid president. So finally he's going to stay here. He's working hard with Simeone for the next season, and that is why Andrea Berta and his job is talking a lot for him to those big offers from big clubs, but he's going to stay at Atletico Madrid finally.
Yeah, if he's drawn attention, that's a testament to the good work he's done. So at the end of the day, it's strange, but it's good news for Atletico de Madrid that they want your people, right? Because it means that they're doing something right for the club. Speaking of loving your club, let's take it to some extra time because we love insiders. We're going to stay for a little bit longer. Let's take a look at what Thierry Henry said specifically about this Lionel Messi situation. This isn't information, it's a wish. Leo Messi should return to Barca for the love of football, and because he didn't leave the way he should have left. That's very true. He didn't leave the way he should have left. But more than talking about this Messi situation, because we kind of know already what each of us thinks about this possibility, who else should return for the love of football? Who else should return to Barcelona or Real Madrid? Thoughts?
Well,
Go Rodri. Really?
I'll take the lead. Sergio Ramos should return to Real Madrid. I know it's impossible because with that bust up that he had with Florentino Perez, this is something impossible for Real Madrid. But by the way he's playing at PSG and by the way he's being wooed and whistled by PSG fans, I'd be more than open if I were Real Madrid president to take Sergio Ramos, which is a Real Madrid legend, back to Madrid. I mean, that would be amazing. And I understand this Thierry Henry's wish, because I have the same wish, because I want to see Leo Messi back in Barcelona to spend his last days of football in Barcelona. And even I say, and I repeat it a lot of times, that maybe Messi shouldn't have gone to PSG, because for me this is something that didn't work out really well for him and for PSG, because I mean Barca is his natural place, so Madrid is Sergio Ramos' natural place. I mean they shouldn't have gone.
I'm gonna go now first about Thierry Henry words. I can understand that, and that's what I try to explain sometimes to, for example, when I talk to ESPNFC experts, that they don't see this move. And I can understand, if you think only with your brain, it might not be the smartest move from Barcelona, because you need to think about Pedri's, Gavi's, and Ansu Fati's, the youngsters, the new ones. But it's true that the Messi and Barca story was like a Hollywood love story movie, and eventually it ended up like a horror movie, and I think this move could be a way to sort this out. So I can understand Thierry Henry, and most of the fan base thinks the same. And about your challenge, Cristina, that who else should move, I think Pep Guardiola to Barcelona, not right now, because I think Xavi is doing a fine job, but
he'll be back, Gemma. He'll be back, sure.
But I think he still needs a lot of time, and I'm talking maybe 5-10 years. He's young enough to do it.
Okay, I understand.
He needs. He's still a little bit bored from his last years, and he would like to do some national teams experience. He would like that at some point. So, but it could be nice, and I don't know why not with Leo Messi in his staff or something like that, working with the team. That could be nice as well.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. If I see Pep Guardiola back at Barcelona, bring Jose Mourinho back to Madrid. That would be entertaining.
Well,
come on, let's travel back 10-15 years. Let's do it.
You know, Chris, that I think it was like maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a Real Madrid player, and I said that, what do you think about Ancelotti leaving at the end of this season and Mourinho getting back? And he said, well, really? And I was like, no, it's only a wish, because, since I am a journalist, I prefer people who said, interesting things, and I love these.
Was it an oh really with a smile or an oh really like seriously?
No, he was like, you really think
Okay.
so? And I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, imagine Mourinho. Now that Barca is winning all the Clásicos, it's like, oh, we know in Madrid how to fix this with Mourinho in the past against Guardiola. I mean, at least you can have fun. Maybe you don't win, but at least you laugh at this.
But imagine 3 El Clásicos in a month and a half with these 2. I remember those 4 we had, like, I don't know which year it was, like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
The stress we had, it was almost violent. It was like, like 2 cities fighting each other. You could smell the violence in the environment. I don't know if I'm ready. Maybe I'm too old for that already.
No, you're not.
Times have changed, so don't worry about that. It wouldn't be that violent.
Yeah, or if Messi comes back, I'm surprised nobody has said Cristiano yet to Real Madrid as well for the love of the club, right? And to see Messi and Cristiano at least not even a full season, guys, just do it for like 6 months, and I think a lot of fans would be happy. And by fans, I mean myself, of course. Always great to talk to you guys. Gemma, Rodri, it's always a good time. And I always like to remind our viewers to follow you guys on your respective social medias to get the latest information, because we have another Clásico around the corner, that semifinal that you will be able to watch on ESPN Plus, as well as all of La Liga match and action this season. Gemma, Rodri, see you in a few days.
Thank you. Bye-bye.